So yet again, it is one of those nights where you just can't seem to fall asleep. And does ADHD have anything to do with that? Absolutely. For those of us who have it. Now, why is it that we have such a hard time going to sleep? For a lot of us, it's difficult to even want to go to sleep. It's the hurdle between sitting there doing something, you're like, I know I gotta go to sleep. I'll go to sleep in 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes pass on by. You still haven't knocked out. Next thing you know, it's half an hour. And then it's an hour. Then boom. You're not going to get an adequate night's sleep. And then worst of all, when you try to go to sleep, you can't become unconscious. You can't knock out. There's a lot going on neurochemistry-wise in the brain when you're trying to go to sleep and when you're sleeping. So, with ADHD, we have an issue with a lack of certain neurotransmitters. So, I wanted to make this video since the other video I have is like 45 minutes long and you have to kind of dig deep in there. Left a couple of timestamps to help out, but I figured why not make a little video on what we can do to help us get to sleep and get a better quality sleep if we have ADHD. Because as research has shown, sleep is highly important. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty. There's multiple neurotransmitters involved here that I want to talk about. And I want to focus particularly on the neurotransmitter serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that deals with mood regulation, sleep, nervousness, empathy, appetite, digestion, sexual urges, etc., etc. So, I want to focus primarily on sleep for this, though. Serotonin is a precursor to another neurotransmitter known as melatonin. The pineal gland secretes melatonin while one is asleep, but if there's not enough serotonin to turn into melatonin, then issues like waking up frequently and not being able to either fall back asleep or stay asleep are quite common. Tell me, how many times have you tried going to sleep only to wake up maybe an hour or 45 minutes or so later, or maybe like 3 hours later? And then you're like not tired anymore. But then you kind of still are for some odd reason. Really odd contrast. So that's happened to me quite a bit. And then that just puts me in the worst mood. Unfortunately, the next day when it would happen. Because of lacking serotonin, we as a result lack melatonin. So this makes it really difficult for us to reach deep sleep. Now, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have experienced long hours of sleep only to wake up and feeling really tired still. Well, what happens is you can get a really good amount of sleep in terms of hours, but if you don't get enough deep sleep in there, you're not getting the good stuff. You're not getting the fuel that the body and brain are going to need for the next day. You're basically re-upping those neurotransmitters. And since we with ADHD have low levels of multiple neurotransmitters, some of those are going to be even lower due to the lack of sleep. Sleep is very vital and can affect you greatly if you have ADHD. Particularly if you get too little of it in this case. So, how do we get the urge to even want to go to sleep if we don't want to? Sleeping is, for a lot of us with ADHD, really boring. Just the thought of just sitting there, laying there, just trying to fall asleep for hours on end sometimes. It's a very annoying experience. There was many nights when I was growing up where I would toss and turn. It would be 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then next thing you know, I'd have to wake up and go to school, and I'd feel terrible. And then in the college years, horrible. And for those people that gotta go to work and get like 2 hours of sleep, and you gotta turn in that project, you gotta go do that resume, you gotta go to 2 different job interviews. You guys have all been there. We've all been there. Yeah, and it sucks. Or the classic, I'm going to go for a job interview, so I can't go to sleep, so you know what? I'm just going to end up staying up all night just because I'm scared I might not wake up in time. That's another common scenario as well. How do we fix the problem, or what is the problem with the sleep cycle? Well, I'm here to tell you that the neurotransmitter norepinephrine is one to pay attention to in this regard. Norepinephrine is a neurotransmitter and stress hormone that deals with attentiveness, emotions, impulse control, planning ahead, sleep, and interpreting actions of others. I want to read off a little bit of what this study says on NCBI. And the study states, and I quote, melatonin and related compounds increase sleep by suppressing the activity of the neurons in the brain's circadian clock. And norepinephrine influences the synthesis of melatonin. There we go, folks. I don't want to get any more complex than that, but simply that. Norepinephrine influences the synthesis of melatonin. And for those of us with ADHD, we have problems with the neurotransmitters dopamine and norepinephrine. We have too fast of reuptake is what a lot of science believes is the reason we have issues with focus and motivation, is because the reuptake of those two neurotransmitters is too quick. Think of it as little vacuum cleaners just sucking up those two neurotransmitters really fast, where neurotypicals, they're just flooded with those good little suckers. Anyway, though, just a metaphor. But norepinephrine influences the synthesis of melatonin. So, therefore, norepinephrine, long known for its role in maintaining general arousal, is also a crucial player in sleep pharmacology. Who would have thought? So, that kind of sucks. We got like a triple threat going against this. We lack norepinephrine to even help out with the synthesis of melatonin. And then we also lack the precursor to melatonin itself. So it's really tough. The sleep cycle is also affected in this regard. So what can we do? Well, let's dive into the supplements, if you will. They are game-changing and life-changing. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. Unfortunately, we have companies and whatnot that want to give supplements a kind of a bad name, more of an Eastern stigma that they can't do anything, and I disagree. Supplements are a game changer. Nootropic stacks are on the rise, and a lot of people use them. Even people who don't have ADHD. So, a supplement I recommend for sleep, and I'm going to share my my regimen of supplements when I sleep, is here's what I do. Now, the first one I take is collagen. I will take a collagen supplement because that really relaxes the body, and collagen is a ever-present substance that is in the body in many ligaments and joints and areas that one would even imagine. But this is not a biology video, so I'm not going to talk about that. But anyways, collagen is great. It also helps keeps stabilization amongst the other supplements. I felt a big difference once I started taking a collagen supplement. And the collagen supplement I take includes 3 different types of collagen. Collagens type 1, 2, and 3. So I'll take that, and then 5 minutes later, I will take the N-acetyltyrosine, and that is a 350 milligram supplement of N-acetyltyrosine. I'll take it maybe 30 minutes before I go to sleep. And then 10 minutes later, I will take melatonin specifically 300 micrograms. It's a 6-hour timed release one, meaning that melatonin will be secreted throughout the night, throughout that 6-hour span, as opposed to all at once. And the reason why I recommend 300 micrograms is because when melatonin was synthesized in the mid part of the previous century, the person or individual who synthesized it with 300 micrograms. And that seems to worked really well from what I see in a lot of research and I've seen from other people. So the fact that it's a 6 hour timed release one is really good as well. The one I take is from a company called Life Extension. And going back, the N-acetyltyrosine I mentioned I took 10 minutes before this melatonin I'm talking about is from the company Gero Formulas. So to reiterate, I take the N-acetyltyrosine from Gero Formulas 30 minutes before I go to sleep. 10 minutes later, I'll take the Life Extension 300 microgram 6 hour timed release melatonin. And right after I take that melatonin, I will take 2 100 milligram L-theanine supplements from the company Gero Formulas as well, just like the N-acetyltyrosine. So, granted, there is 200 milligrams offered of this L-theanine. I just take 2 individual 100 ones because for some reason when I take the 200 milligram one, I get itchy randomly. But when I take the 2 100s, for some reason, nothing happens. It works fine. So go figure. Anyway, so you can do like me if you get that problem as well. You can do the 2 100s, or you can also get the straight up just 200 milligram. But yeah, anyways, that's what gets the job done for me. So the N-acetyltyrosine that you're taking is helping out with dopamine and helping out, most importantly, in this case, with norepinephrine. That norepinephrine is going to help out with the synthesis of melatonin. And then, when you take the melatonin itself, well, that's going to help the process of secreting melatonin through the pineal gland throughout the night, through that 6 hour timed release period. So that's going to be quite helpful in reaching deep sleep throughout the night. And with the L-theanine, you're going to be helping out serotonin. So you're going to be helping out the whole process. You're going to be increasing the serotonin, which will increase the melatonin. You're taking melatonin itself and making sure that's a long 6 hour one, secretion-wise that is. And then you're taking the N-acetyltyrosine to help out with norepinephrine, which is going to help out with the sleep cycle in general. And if you continue this process, you'll notice that you're going to start feeling tired throughout a similar time throughout the day. So after I have those, within a few minutes, maybe about 10-15 minutes, I will be really tired. And then I'll float off to sleep and you'll get a really good night's sleep. So hopefully this video is of some help. If you have any questions about this remedy, feel free to ask. There's some companies out there who make sleep nootropic stacks, meaning that they do the all-in-one supplements that these powders that already include multiple of these supplements that I'm talking about. But sometimes the levels that they have are either too much for me or don't really work with me all that much. So if you don't like those sort of all-in-ones, keep in mind you can always get them individually the way I do, but that's what I take, and that's what's been helping me sleep now for about the last 5 years. So hopefully it can be of some help to you guys too. Take it easy.